Off and on the clock, we have drafted in just about every NFL season-long contest that Underdog is offering up to this point, except one, the marathon. So today we're going to hop into that, share some of our strategies, and also take a look back at some of the teams we drafted in the sprint, weekly winners, eliminator, pre-NFL schedule. We'll see if the bye weeks got us or not. We might even hit on the fantasy best ball competition, talk a little hoops, the typical hodgepodge here on Off and on the Clock. I'm Pete with John and Nez. Let's do it. All right. Off and on the Clock with the Badge Bros, John and Nez. John, how's the computer doing today? What kind of machinery are we looking at?
This is in the rear view now, Pete. We got every possible liquid running through this thing. We got every possible flashing light combo of fans imaginable. Local recording is a problem of the past. I am cooking over here with this beautiful video card machine we got here that I don't know much about, to be honest.
All right, then I need it because I just came off a stream with Davis where he didn't have Wi-Fi and was on a hotspot, and I couldn't hear him for an entire hour. So it is good to know that you're hardwired in.
You're good, man.
Nez, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I will say I'm a little jealous of John and his new toy. I miss the feeling. It's been a while since I've had like a new piece of, computer. New piece of computer. Who says that? But like, I remember the feeling getting like a new desktop tower back in the day. And whenever I was in like 6th grade, it was like a Pentium 4 processor. That was like the big tech at the time. And just like how awesome that felt. I didn't like leave my basement for a while. I've been daydreaming about getting like a new like Mac, like not like a MacBook, like a Mac Mini, just to like do drafts, which feels way overboard. But a boy can dream.
Also, I want to try something that StreamYard just debuted here. I want to see how this looks. As you guys chat here, they now offer to display, but this is like a display for ants. How is anyone supposed to be able to read that?
The first comment is cracking me up, though.
Feel like a new piece of ass. So this even puts on greater responsibility on the chat to, what you guys say could be broadcasted here, but if everybody behaves, we might be able to let this go. But I'm gonna have to tell StreamYard I like the option for this, but you're gonna need to boost the font here. You can't see anything.
It's like the Twitchification of StreamYard, but I do like it. I think it'll inspire people to comment more. There's something like this YouTube actually has, just like if I'm on the TV and I watch you guys on TV, I can actually like have the comments go up. But if Tyler's in the comments, I got to turn off if my wife's around.
Speaking of, were you guys catching Swolecast? T-Bear got a ban hammer from Davis at the end of the Swolecast.
No,
what?
Please, no.
Come on. I know he's going through some stuff with his power outage. What happened?
I don't know. So I wasn't watching the chat during Swolecast, and Kitchen said, "Oh, you just banned someone," and I went to go look, and it said Terrence Charles was banned. So Terrence, will you tell me what you said to Davis that got you banned? And I lost my mind. I was like, "You banned T-Bear? You banned T-Bear?" It's like, I mean, I understand occasionally there are people who need to be banned, but we gotta be welcoming to T-Bear's takes.
Oh, T-Bear's got some of the best Discord takes going
ever. I mean, just one of the best Discord personalities I've ever come across. Truly a legend.
I feel like T-Bear should get hired by like a show like First Take and just be the one who pitches like out a topic and just throws the Molotov cocktail and then walks away while Stephen A. Smith or Shannon Sharp just like go at it for an hour.
It's basically what he does for us right now. And it's just endless content for us.
That's right. All right. So yeah, we'll leave this chat up here. I kind of like how it looks. If they can fix the font sizing or give us some more options, I think it looks pretty slick. Let's see. In other news, fantasy best ball is here. Did you guys see your salaries? It's very funny.
It's very funny.
I don't know if I should be offended to be $100 cheaper than my friends, or I should just be happy knowing that I'm adjacent to Shady Advice and Dink Piece. I don't know how I should feel here, guys.
I think the thing that just cracks me up so much is like, the Badge Bros, you guys get, put together as a package deal a lot of times. Like you did Davis's stream, you two came on together. And so for Nez to just be 100 higher than John is just so perfect. And I know that probably wasn't intentional. I'm sure he had some little algorithm or whatever that generated these and had a couple inputs, who knows. But the $100 difference is just killing me.
Herzig's known me longer, so he knows I'm a fucking wild card when the cameras aren't on. So he knows that he has to have better trust in Nez with that extra 100 there.
I think it's just bulletin board material for you, man. I mean, 100 less than me? I think you might have out advanced me last year, if I remember.
What do you, John, as a long best ball ambassador, what do you think of this contest? Good for the community, bad for the community, dumb, fun? What do you think?
No, I love it. I love anything that any member of the community is going to put out here to build up the personalities within the community, bring some notoriety to some, people that aren't forward facing on stream. I think it's a really cool, fun idea here. I mean, yeah, we're going to mess around with this for sure and have some fun with it. I don't think anyone should be offended or taking offense to your salaries or fighting over, who should be priced higher or whatever. I just think it's a fun exercise.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically engineered to just have people be upset about their salaries, yes. Which is just, I don't even know how you would come up with like truly fair salaries, and with how much this is honestly like what are some of the redacted showdown contests? It's NASCAR, right, where there's so much chaos at the top that paying for the high dollar drivers makes no sense, and you just want all the people at the back. You leave like $20K salary on the table and you just hope that the chaos, like literally leaving like $20K salary and just picking some of these random 5K names that don't have Twitter accounts attached to it is probably GTO in this contest.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That actually makes a ton of sense. I would describe myself as like indifferent but interested about this, of course. And I do think that in a past life, I always like calling back to like my first days drafting on Underdog and stuff. Like I would have loved this. Like before, we had the badge bros and everything. Like I would be probably very passionate about this and definitely like pitching myself to people. I could definitely see myself really enjoying this and trying to make like a name for myself in the streets, like via a contest like this, for sure.
How about this for a Galbrain take? This contest is going to make more people draft better because they're going to care about this. And there's who hasn't done a Best Ball Mania draft where you're just like, fuck it, I'll take this, or like this would be a funny thing to do, or Lord knows you guys, the players you took with Davis at the end of your stream. Does this tighten people up because it's like I now have backers, people who put me in their lineups that I need. I can't be fucking around with this 18th round pick taking a 4th-string running back. Like I need to just get on base here. That's what I'm worried about with this contest.
Yeah, it definitely gets a little more sweaty with this for sure. But that being said, it represents such a small fraction of the player pool within this niche little bubble that it probably doesn't do that. I think the next iteration of like the trickle down effects of like future staking and stuff like that, and people trying to show graphs of their previous like 5 years to get like a deal or something like that. I think that's when it gets extremely sweaty.
Well, because the infamous one in poker, right, John, is the one Daniel Negreanu hosts before the World Series of Poker every year. It's like like a 25K buy-in, and I think they've altered the scoring over the years, but it involves a bunch of events and whoever like scores the most across a bunch of different stuff. So it gets you actually closer to it. This kind of idea as a proof of concept could be interesting if you did expand it to like, all right, let's include marathon, let's include sprint, eliminator, like across all these contests, and actually see who did the best across a bunch of different things.
There's another like trickle down wrinkle of this in the future that mirrors that of what GG Poker has added in recent memory, where the streamers are actually available for like purchase amongst the community. And there's a game within the game of multi-table tournaments now.
Explain. I don't know if I follow.
So like I could just put up like 5% of myself to the community and free roll the community in 5% of me so that they all have vested interest like within the platform, and that money goes straight to their accounts if I win a tournament. So like there's no middleman. It's just all within the site, which is like some super sick down the road underdog shit that'd be so fun.
It like reminds me of like when Andy's NFT site Fractional, where it was like it sells and like you just get your share dropped into your wallet or whatever.
You know what's funny about this though is like there's a lot of obvious discourse about this whole thing, and a lot of people like hate it. But at the end of the day, man, Herzig's tweet has 150,000 views from this link.
That's awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
that is wild.
This is why I'll never poo-poo on anyone's auxiliary ideas like this initially. Like maybe they're not my favorite or whatever comes up, but like just any growth is good growth for this game, right? Like eyeballs and stuff like that.
Yes. And even though this is probably, like we said, an imperfect salary, an imperfect contest for judging it, and there's just so much randomness that goes into even getting a team to the finals. The fact that it is spurring discourse and having people begging to get added to the player pool is pretty incredible.
The perfect way that this exists truly is like salaries are just like not tied to anybody, and you just pick 6 players, but everybody's half the conversation is about the salary. So like it was a great wrinkle, an important wrinkle. And speaking of salary, 2 huge values. I don't even know if we should say it on this program. I mean, shouldn't we paywall this? We're giving out free alpha on the Herzig Best Ball contest. I mean, Dave and Drap.
I highlighted Dave when I went through it on Best Ball Breakfast for sure.
Yeah, Dave and Drap just absolute jams at
6K Drap.
Yeah.
2 times.
Who would you rather have, 6K Draft or 6K Soccer Dave? Because that's a decision you're going to be faced with.
The bit ownership on Soccer Dave is going to be out of control. He's going to be top 5. I guarantee you, he's going to be top 5.
Here's the other, like, if you're actually trying to GTO this too, like, literally any ownership is bad. You just want to pick the person that no one is picking. So if you have any brand name recognition down here, you don't want to pick them. I want the no Twitter. That's the alpha. Find the guys that have no Twitter associated, and that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Like if old Phil Daddy there doesn't have Twitter and doesn't even know that this contest exists, I want all that Phil Daddy that I could get.
If someone is campaigning for you to roster them, that is someone you absolutely do not want to roster right there for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Well, in that vein, let me tell everybody that being $100 cheaper than Pete and Nez makes me the good spend down pivot off the chalk there, guys.
That's right. But I do love that the salary cap is just loose enough that you can easily fit in a couple of your 10K guys if you want. It is funny how that worked out. So anyways, fantasybestball.com. I think you have until July 31st. It's free. I think anyone can be added. You can get alternates. If someone doesn't end up getting over 100 entries, you can swap in your alternates there. So what an incredible time. A derivative of fantasy football is already here. Derivative of a derivative.
Yeah. Very cool.
Let's see. Unfortunately, I only advanced one team in the dance, and it is a dead Nuggets and Celtics team. Are you guys looking good in any of the playoff contests?
I'm not looking until the stream. Next show, I'm live reveal.
Okay.
See if I got anything through or not.
Okay.
I do have one team that's live. It's T-Wolves and Pacers, but in my pod, I have a 2v2 of my Hallie and Miles Turner against his Brunson and Cat. So I'm on the wrong end of that, but
that's nice. Also, I think we mentioned, I don't know if we mentioned it on stream. Maybe we did, Nez. I think it was when John was out, but that Timberwolves future. Do you have that too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've got it like every which way.
Awesome. Yeah. So this was, I think, our first dance related show we did way back when Inez threw out the Timberwolves to win the Western Conference. I got it at plus 2,800 there. So that is going to be a fun sweat for this series.
I hope it's a sweat, man. I think it will be too. I really do have faith in these T-Wolves, but obviously the Thunder are like giga favorites to win the finals, not just to win the West. So it's going to be tough.
I will say this. I like popping my head in the in-game syndicate channel. Yuta has one where he gives out some of his leans and stuff he likes, and people were asking him about his thoughts, and he thought the Timberwolves were undervalued just for this series based on the price alone there. So a supreme ball knower over there saying that they shouldn't be such long odds there. So
what is the price for the series? Do we know what the price for the series is?
Yes, I can pull it up right here. It is minus 330 for the Thunder, and Knicks are minus 160. Timberwolves plus 265.
Plus 265.
So at minus 330, that is an implied odds of 75%. So they're giving them 76% to win.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that even then, you know, the cash out equity, the implied value of that ticket we're holding, Nez, is pretty nice, even at a 25% chance.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you played that because I saw that and I just immediately was just like, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Oh, come on. Well, we got Wolves fans already rolling over here. We giving them a fight, but OKC in 6. Come on, have some pride.
Please.
All right. The other thing I thought would be fun before we talk marathon was to look and see if any of our earlier pre-NFL schedule teams we drafted got blown up or look any better in hindsight.
Let me.
Okay,
I'm gonna
buys show up.
Yeah, because we did weekly winners. Was that last week? We did weekly.
Yeah.
Winners?
So day before the schedule came out, weekly winners.
Yes.
Yeah,
We did really good on bye weeks. Not a single overlapping, or I guess in weekly winners, you
that
could
might be bad.
argue
Yeah.
that but Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, we got no overlapping bye weeks. Yeah, tight end, Kittle and Ertz. You know, all the correlations I know are late, so I don't even know what the early.
I know. I was gonna say we need to spit this to Chat GPT with the schedule and be like, tell me where the correlations are, and then they'll tell us. But I like our late round wide receivers. I think those are aging really nicely.
I'm looking right now at the correlation stuff for the first, and I'm just eyeballing it for like the first 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not seeing a whole lot yet, guys.
Trust the process. Trust the process. Let's see. Eliminator people were. This is the one where we have to really worry. Good thing we took a second quarterback here. We had Gino and Jalen Milroe both with week 8, along with Brock Purdy's backloaded.
Here we go.
And tight end's great. Ferguson, Henry, Otten, 9, 10, 14 rainbow there.
Nailed that.
A decent amount of week 10 buys at running back.
At least we have the big dog, you know, and maybe by week 10, Giddens is doing something.
Yep. See, this is where the sweat gets really big. First of all, if this team makes it to week 10, you're already getting extremely excited. And then you got the bipocalypse for this team. Wide receiver, pretty spread though.
That's good that we have no week 10 for wide receiver. Just Ferg for tight end. So that's solid. I wish there was like a table. I'm sure someone has it that shows us how much money you are winning in week 10. Not that like we're celebrating that. We want the whole damn thing, but I am curious.
Also real quick here, shout out of Son, Jay Rich, 10 Badge Bros memberships.
He took down baseball last night.
Ooh, nice.
Got a law degree and then got a win in the baseball streets. Unbelievable combo.
Wow. And one of those means a lot more.
The Go Horns, of course.
Around here.
Right. Yeah.
No, yeah, mad respect. Thank you so much, Josh.
And then let's see, what was the other one we drafted? Sprint here on 5.
Going back on the schedule for the weekly winners one, that Green Bay Detroit week 1. So that Gibbs Reed Dobbs combo for week 1. That's what we're looking for in weekly winners.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
That's where you want to correlate the most, is what they say.
Sprint draft here. This was a Hurts and Herbert team. We have a lot of week 9 buys. Garrett Wilson, Evans, Igbuka, Dallas Goedert. Honestly, this is kind of nice on a Jalen Hurts team that you didn't have like AJ Brown or Devontae Smith too, because then you would have had so many week 9 buys. But this team looks pretty nice. Man, remember the days of getting Pat Bryant at 212?
Did we do that? Can we take credit for that?
Yeah, he's like what, 170 now?
Yeah, he's about to leap Adam Thielen if he hasn't already.
Well, even Trey Harris, we got at 116. He's up firmly at like pick 100 in most drafts now.
Wow. And this was the sprint ADP for whatever it's worth, but
True.
Still, I mean, it's the sprint versus, Best Ball Mania is, there's ADP should mirror in theory. So we still got good value.
I like this team a lot.
Me too.
I'm looking at Atlanta. Who are some of our big picks? Bijan, and then we're heavy on Philadelphia and the Chargers, and then Tampa. We have the Phantom stack with Evans and Igbuka. Okay, how about week 15 of the sprint contest? How about this Bijan schedule? At Tampa, at Arizona, versus the Rams. So 3 good weather games, 2 domes. And then we get that Tampa plus Atlanta week 15 correlation there.
All right.
Nice.
There you go.
Let's go Bijan.
There you go. Yeah, so we've done our tour around the lobby here. Also a PSA, as someone who's been getting in some entries to the puppy and the schnauzer, these are filling up quickly. Schnauzer is at, let's see here, 63%. This is the $3.20 max. The puppy is the $5.150 max. That is at 67%. So those guys have been kind of hovering around similar fill rates. Does that blow your mind, John?
Oh, could you imagine like 3 years ago when we were just talking behind closed doors about, contests and, hey, will we get another $5 one this year? That you're going to fill $1 million guaranteed, $5 price point in the first month after the draft.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah. That is just absurd.
Not to mention all the New Yorkers. That's also new news since we last broadcasted.
That's true.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, which is awesome news. I remember, like when it happened and stuff that was circulating, there was a lot of like, this could be 5 years, like some big time doom and gloom. And for that to not linger too far into best ball summer is really nice.
Yeah. Good vibes in the draft streets for sure. I mean, almost $69,000 worth of prizes in baseball yesterday, all completely filled.
Really? That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big day yesterday.
And let the people know here too, before we start talking marathon, you guys got a show after this. What is the plan?
Yeah. Going to walk through those advance rates things, talk a little bit about, well, we could talk about it right now, about the cardio club too. I was going to talk a little bit about the cardio club there. That'd probably be better served for right now. And then do NBA slate, NHL slate, and 11 games worth of MLB slate. So a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. Cardio club back. Similar idea as last year, some revamped prizes here. Let me get the
I got it for you, Pete.
Hold up. Oh, you do? Good.
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat for you.
Thank you. Get this pulled over here. For those of you guys who are completely new to Cardio Club, it is doing a draft during some form of cardio. Underdog is not too picky what that cardio is. Running, jogging. I've done assault bike. I've done rowing machine. Anything that gets you sweaty and moving that you can post proof that you did. So some kind of, app on your phone, your watch, any kind of distance or time tracker there, along with a screenshot of the draft you did. And then you tag it within your app where you can name drafts. You add that UCC 2025 to make sure it gets logged. And then there'll be a form where you can fill that out and confirm those teams. And then this year, the prizes are if you do 7+ entries, you'll earn a Cardio Club award. 10+ will get you a puppy. 20+ will get you a UD t-shirt, and all of these rewards stack, so you can get all of these. 35 will get you a Underdog NFL team shirt, and 50+ will get you a BBM entry. And then there's also going to be prizes for the best teams drafted overall in the Underdog Cardio Club. Did I miss anything there, guys?
If you win, if you have the best Cardio Club team, you get BBM paid for next year.
$37.50 in value, or maybe you petition after you win to raise the entry fee on BBM to $100 per entry.
Yeah.
And then that way you can really realize the equity of that prize.
It's so cool. I love that they like really kind of took a bit and like made it into this. Like it really did not start off as like anything this serious. And now, I mean, the level that it's gone to is awesome. I need that Peloton. I could really use a bike, any bike, but I'll take the Peloton and some Tucson classes.
Getting the assault bike, which, you know, similar concept as the Peloton, but having the phone right there. And that is by far my favorite way to Cardio Club. My only thing is like, I've kind of committed again to just any of my BBM drafts are going to be streamed or content of some sort, which makes it very, very hard to do BBM Cardio Club drafts. But I will be doing my own puppies and schnauzers Cardio Club all summer.
I think I'm flipping the script this year, boys. I was adamant in the past about not being smart enough to do cardio and think through a draft at the same time there. But I just went ahead and I bought another one of those clamps for like the bike. So I got one for the stationary bike and I got one for the outdoor bike. So I'm gonna do my part here because, you know, old John's looking a little thicker than he once did. So we gotta get ready for puck season here.
Wouldn't this be like the best use case? You know how there was like the Google glasses and everyone's always talking about the future. Like imagine if you could be running wearing your like Google sunglasses and you see your picks and then you just say which pick you want as you're out there exercising.
I hate how like awesome that would, I think that would be like, just like while I'm running, like scrolling my team and then just like a swipe on. Dude, I unfortunately would think that would be so cool.
I am imagining Nez right now, like on a run, like stopping in a park and like running in a circle so he can like think through his pick, and you just see Nez just like. Oh man,
clawed around like a bear. Oh my god,
that is the Google draft Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yes, it is. There is a degree of difficulty. And the reason I like doing the bike one, because like when I'm out running and doing it, there can be some, you know, you lose service for a second or you aren't paying attention. I had one I did just the other day too, where I looked down and I was like, I never remember drafting Cooper Kupp. I don't think I wanted to draft Cooper Kupp, but he is now on my team.
You had the endorphins going and you just thought it was a great idea. You had so much hope for him. I'm not saying that there are show-offs out there, by the way, but like people doing cardio clubs in 7-minute like mile runs, like absolute freaks.
Yeah, Drew is one of them. You know, he tagged me in one this morning, 8 miles at an 8-minute a mile pace there.
Holy shit.
Always nice to get the docs here too, from Drew's location here on Sloan's Lake Park. Very nice park there in Denver. But yes, I know the times that people are posting on some of these, I'm like, man, that's like a PR without a phone in drafting, and you're out here doing it casually.
I'd be thrilled to do that on a 5K. You know, that's a great athlete intelligence response, by the way.
That's right. Also, this reminds me too, Big Loaf like also created more stuff for the fantasy best ball where he was like coming up with a notoriety score an ownership rating using followers, all kinds of things here. Just some incredible stuff here. You guys have a higher notoriety score than me. Now I'm pissed.
That checks out.
We need a definition on the notoriety score, and I need to see how the sausage is made there. Because
FB Wizard is number 10. I was like, with all due respect to our advance rate king, there are not too many people who know who FB Wizard is.
What makes you notorious in the eyes of Big Loaf? We need to know.
Oh man. Okay, let's go back to Marathon here. So Marathon is cumulative scoring.
Yep.
No pods. Every week matters. Some people are familiar with this. The drafters style tournament is essentially like this. The marathon scoring. Ends up being a little bit less of a sweat, right? Because teams pull away. It's harder to cover a lot of ground. But the sweat is probably pretty damn fun if you're one of those teams pulling away right away.
I know, right?
Yeah. This is a contest you want to front run. $15 entry. Highest scoring team wins. 100K to first. This is for the people who say, I don't want to deal with your pod luck. I don't want to deal with backloading production. I just want to put my balls on the table, draft the best team, and see where the chips fall here. So what are your guys' overall thoughts on the marathon, and how much did you participate last year, et cetera?
I mean, I think the number one misconception associated with it is floors, not roars kind of mindset. But you still got to score like high on a weekly basis, right? To be in contention here. I think people are a little more risk adverse in that structure, and the rookies tend to fall in this structure comparatively, or at least they had in years past. And I'm not sure that's right. I think this is truly, find the best plays, be ahead of the best plays, have the best, strongest structure kind of deal, more so than, back-weighted production, I guess.
Yeah, I did 60 drafts last year. I was on a tear because I am not a marathon guy, but last year I was obviously just going nuts. 60 drafts. My highest scoring team was finished in 2000th place, good for $45. So, this never felt like it was my strength, and it certainly wasn't. I only cashed 5 out of those 60 teams, but I was looking at bbmdb.com because, Patrick Donovan still has all of that data on there, and looking at some of the best marathon teams, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, you got to just hit the absolute nuts pick after pick. But there's some teams in the top 10 that are holding 2 zeros on their squads, which I found interesting. First place only had essentially 1 QB. It was Joe Burrow and Will Levis last year.
Can you pull that up, Nez? Because we got the winner in the chat right now.
Oh, yeah. Hello, A-Train. Congratulations. Yeah,
Beautiful.
let me pull that up.
Yeah, let me there we go.
Yeah, so this is his team. Again, bbmdb.com if you want to look at this stuff. All obviously just historical results stuff. But I mean, look at these running backs, dude. Just smash after smash in this running back room. Gets Jerry Jeudy and Mooney. I mean, Jeudy for the late season was just had to have it. Had to have him for those late season games whenever he was just going off with Jameis. But this is a beast of a team.
It is. And it's interesting too to see the different, the other framework, I think, is thinking about which teams did really good in the regular season too, of just even previous BBMs and stuff. Obviously, we know Mathology's teams from last year. I remember King Capital's team from a couple of years. It was the year Karain won. Both Mathology and King Capital's teams were heavily optimized for week 17. The playoffs involved rookies. And so I do think it speaks to kind of what John was saying too, as far as, rookies can be undervalued. You see Bucky Irving here, like he was arguably the biggest rookie smash. Chase Brown would have been like considered a volatile, unsafe pick. That's not an eliminator ass pick last year.
Right.
And so making sure that you are still trying to get ceiling. And I would say the other thing that I've noticed from these teams, the King Capital team had Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts on it. This team has Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and Trey McBride. Like you do need to get ceiling from all the positions. And I do think that kind of differs from like Eliminator, where it's a floor game, or this year you could say a median game. I know Sacrilegious has been calling it that. But here, I do think you need those home run swings to pull away from the field.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes total sense.
Like there's definitely the archetype of home run hitters on all of those rosters you were going through there. The one thing that really stood out to me there was the not onslaughty, but less traditional version of stacking that was pretty heavy in terms of like the Bengals with the running back. Both the top two teams were, a concerted bet around Bengals offense be good kind of thing. So quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely just going to see way more hits than misses, especially with the back end contributions, like the Darnell Moonies of the world. You can't really slough by as much with like, a 30 ball from wide receiver 7. You do need to be closer to perfect. But that being said, like all of these give me hope,
Look at this team, man.
Yeah, I thought this one was really interesting.
This is a 0 RB-ish team with elite quarterback. Hit the McBride Powers combo is deadly. And then you toss in Chase and Adams there at the top. He got nothing from his bottom two running backs too. McLaughlin and Prince were essentially zeros, but just absolutely slammed in the nuts basically everywhere else.
Yeah, 12K team. That was Alex RB 22. And then our guy Enthrius he's here at 7th place and in 17th place. So shout out to him for that. And he had a lot of zeros on this team.
Yeah, and Little Dodger in the chat saying it's interesting how different these teams are. I agree. It's structurally really different. I guess this is the ultimate just pick the best players contest, right? Because you're not thinking about when the production comes. It's just like however you can get these points, just pick the best plays.
It's crazy that the number one overlap is Chase and Chase, like on all these teams. Chase and Chase.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of Evans too, but that's just like where he lined up, I think, ADP wise. But Jamar Chase, essentially like the common denominator on all these teams.
It's kind of shocking that there's not more Brian Thomas on them.
Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's said in the chat as well. There you go.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I wonder if people saw him more. If you think through those wide receivers, it's funny because, like, yes, Ladd was a hit, but that was also slow. Like, he really didn't hit until hard. Like, in the frame of Best Ball Mania, he was a hit. In the frame of the marathon, I don't really consider that. Even Brian Thomas Jr., again, I think we all have Best Ball Mania brain. Like, his production was, like, heavily backweighted. I mean, he scorched in the playoffs, but he wasn't doing that as much at the beginning of the season. So to me, maybe it isn't that crazy that he wasn't on some of these teams.
Yeah.
This guy is the top scoring non-Jamar Chase team. And I mean, God, could you just imagine if you don't get like the nut low CeeDee Lamb run out? Damn.
Look at that Jawan Jennings pick. That's inspired.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Again, Bowers here.
That's
fun stuff.
Run this one more time with Chase Brown instead of Jamar Chase. Because this one has Chase Brown as well. I want to see if all top, 12 teams had Chase Brown.
Someone in the chat asking, so we're right now looking at these on bbmdb.com.
So team number 10. So the top 9 teams all had Chase Brown. And 8 of those 9 had both Jamar and Chase Brown.
Yeah, I think that's what that means.
Wild.
Yep.
Calvin Austin. How about it?
51.7.
And Jefferson.
Wow, dude, this is Steelers. This guy loved the Steelers.
Barkley,
Dude,
Kenneth
Pat
Walker,
Freiermuth?
Dude, three Steelers are former Steelers, and then a touching tribute to James Conner as a former Steeler on there.
Wow.
This guy knew exactly what he was doing.
Man.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
and these, this is probably one of the weaker teams as far as back end wide receivers, right? No Darnell Mooney, no, Jalen Tolbert, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin. Essentially 4 usable wide receivers here, but was robust at like quarterback and tight end.
Well, now
Also,
that we've looked at all these, I feel like I can pick a winner. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, yeah. The first, whatever that was, the 12 teams or whatever, I didn't see anyone with more than 5 or 6 running backs on their team, right? I didn't see any like 2-7-7-2s or anything like that.
Which makes sense. It is hard to get off to really fast starts, like with true 0 RB teams. I mean, maybe you could argue this year, if you're able to get a couple of the like Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift types, that you could get some of the fast production. But like if you're taking your first running back as like Zach Charbonnet, you start running into early projectable volume issues quickly in this contest.
Yeah, good point. There's another really good one in the chat there from Aaron. Try excluding Bowers.
Including with just Bowers or?
Yeah, just Bowers. Take the Bengals guys out and then see here.
Okay.
Because this would put a premium on smoking like that round 8 tight end who ended up being whatever, tight end 2 or tight end 3. How important was that?
Oh, no. This is without him. So 8,
Yeah.
9, 10, and 11 all had it.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what also is interesting? Do you know who I'm surprised not to see more of? Jaden Daniels. I feel like we didn't see him on these
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah, because I think Baker really like overshadowed him. Like you see a lot of Baker, or at least I thought you did.
Yeah, there was some Baker. There's a
Yeah.
decent amount of elite quarterback.
Yeah, really interesting. This tight end room is pretty wild. Choppa style is second place, with the Muth, Otten, Gesicki tight end room. That's probably how I'd like to play it. Just a 3-6-6-3, and let it rip, or 3-5-7-3.
Yeah. And last year, you can see too from these running back rooms, there were so many different ways to build a good running back room because you had a bunch of hits early, and then you had the Chase Brown and Bucky Irving Omega smashes. Chuba was a massive smash. Like you could build a really good running back room a ton of different ways.
Yeah, the only way not to build it was to be a full 0 RB bro and miss Chase effectively.
Yeah, if you didn't start with Chase, like maybe you could have survived with Bucky and Chuba, but even then, it's getting thin.
Yeah. That's the most running backs I've seen on a roster yet. That's 6. What place was this in?
I think 7. Cameron Crazy was third place.
Mm-hmm.
What were the tight ends here? This one had Daniels, Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle, Otten.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes without saying, but you have to get a hit at the onesie. Like you can survive this Alexander Madison, the Tolbert, the Noah Brown, but you cannot survive not having one smash at quarterback and tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just who would have thought Baker Mayfield would have been a smash?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. So creative thinking says elite quarterback and elite tight end is a must in the marathon. In results, right? Not in ADP, because you still have to accomplish, like these teams also have a high-end wide receiver. They have high-end running backs too. It's more to me speaking of like, where are you going to find the elite production that isn't in the top 5 rounds? Right. But you're going to need to be able to do that.
Yeah, because elite tight end would have sunk a lot of teams if you had done Laporta, McBride. Like those teams would have been drawing like, well, McBride would have been closer, I guess, because he ended up being like tight end 3 or whatever. It was basically Kittle, McBride, and Bowers were basically the only ones that you wanted.
Top scoring Laporta team, to your point, John, 42nd place.
Yeah.
That was a tough one to come back from.
It's funny to think through some of those 2v2s because it's like you could have imagined like a McBride Chase Brown 2v2 off of like Barkley Bowers, like that probably would have worked out well. Like again, like it just goes back to like there's so many more ways to get there. And I think a testament to letting the draft in your draft slot, come to you, getting that value, and then knowing, all right, I got my running backs early. I got to find this tight end smash, somewhere else. All right, let's get in here.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Who was the biggest elite quarterback flop?
Actually, should we do 20 seconds? Can the people cook? I think we can.
Yeah, the people can cook.
All right, we're gonna do 20 seconds with our crew. What were you gonna say, John?
The biggest elite quarterback flop last year. Like, was it Jalen? Like, he still had a good. But Mahomes was what, QB 5, 6, something like that.
I mean, he was the top. He was one of the top QBs drafted.
Yeah.
Like in the results, 13th place is the highest. The next highest for Mahomes for the marathon is 86th.
What was his closing ADP? He was like mid-fifth round. Was that what it was?
Let me see, because I can look at the draft board here. It's not like perfect, but I can get a feel for where this guy drafted Mahomes. He has Mahomes in the 4th round.
Yeah, because it got really trendy to do like Rashee Rice and Mahomes at the 3-4 turn.
We're all looking for the guy.
He's now broadcasting outside of his house.
Yeah. Let this be a lesson on elite Mahomes that now you have to broadcast from your backyard.
I'm the one that sent the tweet that advised people to free themselves from the shackles of ADP. Let's not forget. I changed a lot of perspective with that.
That's right. All right. We're in a marathon draft, 20 seconds, 1-4 here. Jamar Chase goes 101. Barkley, we'll see what Oreo 1972 does here. Great username. Goes Bijan. Jefferson, Gibbs, CD. Flip the board, bro. Any other suggestions?
I do Jefferson. Jefferson, Gibbs, or Genty for me.
Let's do Jefferson.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like nailing wide receiver did seem a little bit more important for a marathon than or at least nailing wide receiver 1 seemed a little more important than running back 1.
Yeah, and also I think too, like there were a decent amount of landmines in round 1 last year, and Chase kind of really separated because like we all view Barkley as a first round player, but he was not going to the first round last year. People were getting Barkley Chase teams.
Barkley, Justin Jefferson. Yeah.
So I think too, that's another thing is like, avoiding those landmines. And this is the stuff you just can't know without the benefit of hindsight. But yeah, I think that was unique last year where Chase just separated from all those early picks.
Even, my guy Bijan, who didn't, flop, like stayed healthy, had some good seasons. Top scoring marathon team was 42nd place with Bijan. Like couldn't make up the ground like nearly enough. That's cool. Like no one's turning down $3,000, but like, that it just Chase separated so hard.
And because too, it was like how many games did Chase have over 30 points versus Bijan, right? Like Bijan had a really good floor, but Chase was nuking more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Chase finished with like almost like 300 points. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
That's truly nuts.
Okay. How many? I'm thinking through like some of this stuff, and like it's weird because it's all results oriented, which isn't like amazing, but like it's the only way to kind of like backfill and learn. How many teams had Baker as nailing QB2 in the top 40? How many of you guys think in the marathon?
Is this a Lauden thinks or a real guess?
Real answer. I'm looking.
26.
Okay, I was going to go less than that. I was going to say like 15 of the teams, 15 to 40.
18 teams in the top 40.
Okay.
So like, wow. I mean,
Still
like,
a lot, obviously. All right, we're up.
Oh, yeah, we're on the clock. Man, you got the quarterbacks up here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Let's see. Jacobs, JT, Higgins, Tyreek, Jason, Chase Brown, Wilson.
JT, Higgins.
JT, yeah.
Okay.
Why do we think? Why is Jacobs going ahead of JT in this? That's interesting.
That is interesting, man. These marathoners, they're a different breed, I guess. Setting their
How
own
many-
ADP, making their own rules.
How many drafts? So we have 2,500 entries in there. So it is still a pretty small sample of drafts.
okay,
Yeah,
here's-
that's
here's
200
one more.
lobbies filled. Yeah.
How many teams had Chase Brown in it compared to Baker teams? Top 40.
Sorry, say that again.
Chase Brown teams in the top 40.
In the top 40. I'll go back to 26.
Yeah, that one seemed higher. Yeah, I'll say 23.
16. There are more
Oh,
Baker
oh.
teams than Chase Brown teams.
Wow.
I- maybe just nailing the onesie scoring is like such a huge boost that you can kind of drag whatever else with it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Tyreek Hill, Chase Brown, Garrett Wilson, Kyron. I kind of like Chase Brown or
Kyron?
Garrett Wilson.
Or
Kyron?
Chase
Yeah.
Brown.
I'm good with Chase Brown
John.
or Devonta Adams.
All right, let's do Chase Brown and say you needed him last year and you need him this year.
Yeah, it was good for the bid equity right there.
Okay.
In this,
Sorry.
this
go
is
ahead, Pete.
of all the formats, this is the least bye week important format, right? Where they matter the
Yeah.
least.
As long as you don't overlap the onesies where you fully punt a week, because I think if you punt a week, you're drawing dead.
True.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
no
like
full
in-
punts.
In BBM, you can tell yourself a story of like an onslaught stack of like 4 and just be like, oh, I'm just betting on this team. I think if you have more than 4 on this team that covers both the onesies, you'd be in trouble because you'd take like a 70 or you'd take an 80 in terms of total points scored in an isolated week. And I don't think you could ever recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one of them you could, but not obviously like not both, I don't think. Like, and you'd have to be like unbelievably smashing.
How about this for another take for like changing your filter for how you view players? Like, even though you want breakouts in this format, you want less contingent injury type breakouts, because the reason that works so well in Best Ball Mania is you can survive essentially zeros and low scores if you then get the massive upside for the playoffs. Whereas here, like, we're looking at the Brian Thomas and stuff, and he's not the perfect example for this, but say where you want to give yourself paths to the hit early versus being blocked for a really long time. Like maybe it is, say, Zach Charbonnet versus Cam Scatabo, where they're both going around the same range, but you're like, Cam Scatabo could just have that job right away, where we know Zach Charbonnet needs that injury. And if you have to sit on that roster spot for 8 weeks, it really hurts you in the marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. I fully agree.
I was just gonna say real quick, because like Lamar Jackson had like one of the best statistical QB seasons that like we've ever seen for fantasy. Teams in the top 40 for Lamar.
It had to have been low.
7.
2.
5. Split the middle there.
There you go.
Not a lot though. And I mean, he smashed.
Hurts could be an interesting play if we want to get an elite ceiling here. Or Xavier Worthy as a faller.
Let's see Worthy.
I'm Worthy.
Yeah, let's do Worthy.
That was just an affirmation. I'm cool with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, there are, and so this is another interesting, like, seeing how Tet really falling here relative to his BBM. He's another one where it's like Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, it might take him a little bit to get acclimated, but he can also come on. He can be a target magnet right out of the gate.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping he is, even in
Yeah.
BBM. I mean, he's a top 10 pick and there's no one else around him. If he takes a while to ramp up, that's probably not a good sign, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So we start with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, Jefferson, JT, Chase Brown, Xavier Worthy. We do see Kittle go ahead of his BBM ADP here at pick 43. He would have been a very nice target for us at 45 too.
He makes sense, like just week over week with the spikes that he has, but then also like the opportunity stuff early in the season. I'm staring at an ADP right now that's quite different.
I mean, Tet falls to 5.4, or Hurts. Like Hurts or Tet look great to me.
I prefer Hurts to Tet. There's also a wide receiver that hasn't gone yet in Pickens that has a buried ADP.
Yeah,
sorry, I was silent. You were, yeah.
It's all right. I think Hurts. We saw, looking through those teams, like almost all of them had to find ceiling somewhere. And I think now getting a crack at a top 5 quarterback is really nice here.
Yeah. Would you think we didn't really look at this, but I think intuitively, really pushing the capital of our second QB probably makes a lot of sense after this.
Yep.
What was Baker's ADP last year? Like QB 16, QB 18, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'll look it up right now and see where he was taken on one of these marathon teams. The second place team, Choppa Style, took Baker in round 13.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just found it interesting that almost every single team we looked at there was no like full dust ball quarterback rooms. There was a lot of 2 quarterback rooms juxtaposed to 3. There was one Bryce Young team that was like 3rd quarterback there, but it did have Baker and Goff or something. I don't know.
Yeah, respect the 3rd place team, brother.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through the dynamics of the way draft capital was spent, and maybe this is because Chase and Chase were such outlier performers, and Bowers was as well, or Kittle was as well, as like that falling. You got elite tight end production, but you didn't have to pay elite prices. I don't know. I'm just thinking about draft capital allotment. Basically, everyone was like QB 5 or 6, and then QB like 17.
Right. I mean, I was just going to say, like, it's insane that the 3rd place team didn't win 1st place in the marathon, because the 3rd place team had Saquon and Jamar Chase on it. Like, what are the chances that you get RB1, RB and wide receiver 1 like that, like this season? I just like, especially to the extent. And I mean, I guess like people do forget Big Dog was not far behind Saquon for RB2, but I mean, man, so to get those 2 smashes is obviously just nuts.
You can get it in every single marathon draft right now, Nez. It's Malik Neighbors plus Christian McCaffrey over and over and over again.
You definitely are seeing running backs slightly pushed up here. You will not see this much yellow in a Best Ball Mania draft queue at this juncture of the draft.
Which is good for us because we start off RB, obviously.
Yeah. Olave, Jennings, Godwin, Judy.
I might take Jones and whoever comes back.
I'm down with it.
Sure. Yeah, just with
make that Minnesota bet.
Yeah.
Scarcity. Yeah. Double up there. This year's Chase is Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I can see the vision.
Yeah, and Jordan Mason that obviously sets us up for. Hey, you never know. Maybe a handcuff can work. Obviously, sets us up for JJ later on too. That would be a nice bookend on the QB room. Make this like a 2 QB room with that.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, we'll see. Normally, you saw some of those wide receiver rooms. There was a couple thin ones that got by with kind of like 4 solid guys here. I think we'll want to get 2 wide receivers here. It'll be interesting to see what's available at 93 though. It could get a little dicey in here, but Olave comes all the way back. Great.
I think this is like that's the pick, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the bet. But obviously we know the question marks. We know what's happened with Olave, but yeah, those are the type of picks I just think you just have to that's the bet you need to make in the marathon.
That's why.
If he's right.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why we structurally take the running back first. There.
Hey, guys. Well, I'm going to let's see what our running back room looks like in a couple of rounds first, John, here. Because I think my play would have been both wide receivers at 69 and 76. But let's see.
Okay. Who would you have gone with if you could have taken a wide receiver instead of Aaron Jones, Pete?
I probably would have done Jennings, Olave, although maybe Olave goes if Jennings, and then we're doing like Jennings Godwin or something.
I would have thrown my hat in the ring for Jacoby too. I'm a bit of a Jacoby over bull, but yeah, I'm really excited for the Jacoby Geno connection.
You know what's so funny? I don't know what show I said this on, but like a lot of the teammate ADPs, move in opposite directions. Like you see Tootin move up and ETN moves down, like winner loser. And the Besh ADP like skyrocketed and Jacoby just like holds firm. Like the Jacoby people are holding the line there and just letting the Jack Besh slappies do their own thing. But I thought I never see Jacoby slip like 10 picks past ADP, which is just an interesting dynamic.
That's also curious because he's the perfect archetype of a dude 2 years ago who would have slid 10 plus picks.
Yeah. And maybe it speaks to that portion of the draft board where there is the window is closing and people still respect him as a safe asset. But to me, I feel like the Jacoby, like if Jacoby is an uber smash and you're not projecting a Genty or Bowers injury, that's going to leave very little room for Besh to pay off that ADP.
Well said.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'm going to have a ton of Besh, but I'll see, man. I at my current stance is like, I can't pay some of these rookie prices, man. Like top 100 picks for Jaden Higgins and top 110 for Jalen Noel, stuff like that. I have a really hard time stomaching at the moment, but we'll see. I'll certainly rookie pill myself at some point, but.
This seems like a nice spot to take a swing on Kelsey or Andrews getting back to their former tight end heights, getting some ceiling at tight end here. Kelsey goes. You guys like Andrews?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think that looks nice. This is another interesting one. Like Jonnu goes ahead of Andrews in BBM.
Oh, wow.
I was about to say there's a nice little pocket of a reminder of maybe why you take 2 wide receivers in that previous go.
I will say, yeah, we'll see how it comes back to us. But yeah, I just thought with like the double anchor there with JT and Chase Brown that I feel comfortable getting that third running back, in the hundreds.
Do you guys do anything? This is kind of like a old school season long take kind of thing. And I think the marathon is the one that mirrors that the greatest. Do you guys do any kind of like cumulative strength of schedule stuff where like if we were trying to find this year's Bengals where, last year's Bengals won you this contest effectively, that 3 stack, would you guys do anything like that route of, a team that could potentially overperform or win a division that we're not looking at right now?
Hang on one sec. We're on the clock. I do think this would be a spot to take a stab on one of the rookies, Burden or Igbuka. I'd say Burden probably has Kurt. Nez?
I'm Igbuka.
Okay, we're all split. All right, let's just
yeah, you're driving. That's cool.
Well, so here is my thing. I guess it kind of went back to that comment I was saying about like the guy who can, like, it's probably more realistic that Burden is a week 1 starter than Igbuka, where I feel like the
Yeah.
excitement is, whereas Burden's path, I think, to getting on the field right away. I guess if
I wouldn't
Igbuka just
fight you
beats
too
out
hard on
McMillan
that, but
right-
like, yeah, like I wouldn't fight you too hard on that, but I think I would disagree and say that Igbuka draft capital dub,
Mhm.
better quarterback that we know of right now, like dub. Chris Godwin's foot was turned 360 degrees. Like, I don't know what he's going to look like at the beginning of the season. Like, I just think they told us a lot with that Igbuka pick. Plus, like, the division is nice for ripe for offensive scoring. They really didn't do a whole lot defensively, but like, Burton's going over Igbuka like for a reason as well. So like, I do understand it, but I'm personally Igbuka over him right now.
Yeah, I think, the draft capital thing is big. I guess the one thing too would be, the way I feel like Igbuka wins is just like volume, right? And if Godwin is healthy, and all accounts are that he's going to be good to go and is on track, it just seems like his path to a lot of targets is maybe a little bit dicier, where Burden's game is more predicated on maybe less touches, but higher efficiency stuff after the catch. Maybe it can be like more of the Debo stuff. But yeah, I think it's close between both of them. And there's lots of ways it goes wrong for Burden as well. Higher floor for Igbuka, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that pick either way.
I'm looking through some potential, like answering my own question after we threw it out there at a ill time. I threw it out at a bad time when we were trying to make the draft picks there. But like some of these back end like team stacks that could be, maybe not what the Bengals were, but like
I think the Panthers like stand out big time because you can get like some major pieces of that team for really, really cheap.
Yes.
Obviously not Ted, but everybody else.
The Panther, I mean, there's just not a lot of teams that line up as like really attractive back stacks, mainly because there's not that many quarterbacks that are cheap.
This is a strange quarterback landscape.
You wanted Kirk. I wanted to sit on it because I knew he would come back. Pittman is also here. I think this is a wide receiver pick.
Yeah, I'm good with it unless you want to do
Pittman or Kirk.
I'm fine to give John Kirk. If John liked Kirk last round, we can go Kirk here. I think he pairs nicely with the Burden pick too.
I think he's a good marathon pick, man. If we can get him healthy, it like sooner than later, and I'm not totally certain how that looks on that front, but I'm not necessarily a Kirk bear, right? We were taking this guy, well, the field was, 4th round last year, lands in a really nice situation. I mean, I know there's a lot of young wide receivers around him, but pretty good offensive environment. So I like that for a marathon pick. That's a really big hit, and if it does hit, so. Good shout, John.
Yeah. I like that because you kind of have the double outs. Like he's going to be on the field week 1 as the starter, and we'll see the situations. Sometimes the rookie takes over late, definitely, but sometimes the incumbent just holds on to it. And then you get a really nice value the whole way.
Speaking of that same archetype, better in marathon or BBM, the Keenan Allen and J.K. Dobbins bets, and I guess Nick Chubb.
Hang on, let's make this pick marathon.
Oh, we got JJ sniped, but CJ, if we want to stack Kirk,
you could stack Kirk, I'm down for that.
I'm CJ.
That gives us 2 really high ceiling quarterbacks there that can give us spikes. I like that play.
Yeah, and I think we can stop there too. Which is nice.
What were you saying, John?
The free agents, the veteran free agent types, better or worse picks in marathon versus BBM? because
specifically Dobbins and Keenan.
Yeah, and Chubb, I guess, would be in that conversation.
I think my take would be worse, because part of the thesis, like with some of these guys, is like, could they wait to sign until later in the season? Remember, like the Leonard Fournette thing where he just like sat out and then signed with the Bills like super late. Like, if part of that is, them waiting for the perfect team or whatever, like I think both of them are on the field week 1. But if part of that is within the range of outcomes, don't you want just a guy is going to be playing week 1, and we don't know that for a fact right now?
Yeah, I mean, what was the
that's
biggest thing outside of like the chase stuff that we saw throughout all those leaderboards was the fact that there were very few, zeros or 15 fantasy points or 40 fantasy points. Almost every part of your roster is contributing in the marathon.
Yeah, for sure. So here's the team so far. We got Hurts and Stroud. We got our 3 running backs, JT, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, 5 wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave, Luther Burden, and Christian Kirk. Tight end, Mark Andrews. Feel like a nice blend, positionally, some good upside at each position. Looking at the rosters at the top of the field, I think we've internalized what a winning marathon roster looks like.
Dare I say, this is a marathon-ass team.
Marathon-ass team.
Leone-ass team. From a physical gift standpoint, of course.
Yeah, it is funny, like the way this format and all these different formats, like they pull you, even talking about the eliminator, where it's like, on the one hand, you want to build for safety, but it's not so much floor, you want to be kind of in the middle. And then, obviously BBM is these just huge ceiling outcomes, but all of these kind of pull your player takes in slightly different directions.
What number is this? 140? 140 for us upcoming?
141. Yep. I would definitely be interested in Goddard stacked up with Hurts as our tight end 2 here.
That's where my mind's going. That's why
I'd be thrilled with that.
If Topes doesn't do it, I doubt this Benheim takes a 3rd tight end with Kelsey and Warren. Yeah, so we can get Goddard.
Yeah, that's a snap pick. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense that he's all the way down here still in all tournaments, in my opinion. But yeah, even if I don't have Hurts, man, I'm like snap picking Goddard in most of my lobbies.
This is a fun question from WFN. Is the marathon the toughest to win? I think so.
I think it's a fair question.
Like a pure math standpoint, it's not.
How about this? Let's say all the contests that we've been discussing, BBM, are all the exact same size, and just level that playing field. Hey, hang on one second. We're back on the clock here.
Let's get the purple off the board.
Get another running back, a Garendo, a Davis, a Rashad.
I like Garendo.
White. Yeah, Garendo.
Yeah. This definitely falls in the contingent bucket, but man, the contingent upside is so high. Yeah. So this is kind of where I think the question is hinting at. Marathon or cumulative scoring needs to draft the nuts, because there's no pod variance, where with Best Ball Mania, you can have a couple bailouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have a regular season team and then get bailed out, where there's no bailouts in the marathon.
So I think we're thinking of the way in which tougher is defined, because to that implies to me there's more inherent randomness, which makes it tougher to win because you're not in control of your circumstance, whereas the marathon, you have more control of your circumstance.
Yes. But if you think of like also, your probabilities of hitting the nuts, and let's just say every one of these contests is 100,000 versus you just have to, you sneak a team, a dog shit team into the playoffs, and then you just have to have the best team out of 16, like in one of your pods, like just the pure odds of that. And obviously you're stacking them, but
I know,
if you
right? I
think
just
it
feel like,
through-
you know, if I was to
Yeah.
play, oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
No. I was just gonna say, like, there's nowhere to hide imperfections on your roster in the marathon where you
Yeah.
can hide those within the pod structure.
Yeah, like I really do feel like if you were to play this out, you know, like if I could play these games until, you know, until RIP, like I think I would. The pod dynamics to me just seem to give you outs of getting there quicker, but I trust that John is correct. But my thought was that like this is harder than BBM to win.
I love we got last year's champ A Train in the chat going, this has to be the
Yeah, the anecdotal evidence right there.
Pretty easy, guys.
Very
That's great.
All right, we're about to pick again. I think we're still just in running back, wide receiver
Dobbs.
Yeah.
zone. You guys like Dobbs?
Yeah, Dobbs or Braylon Allen for me.
I was gonna say Rashad White, but we can go Dobbs.
All right, we can do Dobbs. I think wide receiver maybe slightly more position of need right here.
Yeah.
We can see what comes back. This is an interesting thought. Yeah, like, would we want to consider Jalen Knoll here, or is that too much of like we're making a bet that Christian Kirk is going to lock that down, or do we want to open our mind up to possibilities of like, what if it's Higgins or Nico that gets hurt and both of them are on the field a ton?
I think that's a team and offensive dynamic specific question opposed to like a macro one, and I think it's fine with the Texans. I think there's definitely spots where I would shy away from doing that and making like I like the correlated bet of running back or tight end plus, like where you take up multiple positions. 2 wide receivers, same team feels a little thinner, but you can find spikes for sure.
I lean towards wanting Knoll.
I do too, because you could have that contingent upside if there was an injury, but you could also have the like baton moment, right? Where if Kirk,
exactly,
you know, is crushing and then, you know, maybe he gets banged up or just Knoll comes on strong. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger there. I do think Stroud is a quarterback I like to double stack. And because we have Andrews and Goddard, we're probably a little less interested in Schultz on this team.
This guy, man. This guy's just trying to bring it all back to his big BR wins. You know, every time you just can't get away from it, Nez. He's just got to go, Stroud doubles. I like those. Sometimes.
Yeah.
If there's
you
one
can
thing
take away my
take
Dell. You can take away my take Dell, but you can't take away my ability to draft undersized slot wide receivers on the. We were talking about the undervalued offenses that you could backstack and how the Panthers. I mean, the other one. And it's not as clean and there aren't as many opportunities, but I do think it's probably the Titans, right? You have these 2 rookie wide receivers. You have Chig. You have the veteran in Lockett, if you want to play it that way. Ward is super cheap. Spears is super cheap. Like, that's probably where you could get a windfall of value if Cam Ward is really good.
I mean, it worked last year. Last year's winner had Spears plus Will Levis, and Will Levis didn't even play ball on the team.
There you go. If it worked with Levis, why couldn't it work with and Levis was free. Yeah.
I think that's probably a pretty good one, Pete. It's really hard to find pack stack offenses right now, just in general. I guess the other one could be Patriots too. Like Drake May goes in, like if you start a stack with Drake May and then you do like Kyle Williams after and Hunter Henry last.
You're not wrong. I just think that for the question, Drake May himself is just a little too expensive to like be an answer because like he is not cheap.
Nope.
Yeah, in my mind, I kind of define it as like truly you get sniped in like round 12 or whatever, and you can still pull off, you know, a clean double stack or triple stack of an offense.
Texans is not a bad one then, because we could have passed on Kirk 2 rounds ago, and then you just start with CJ, and then you do like Knoll, Schultz, Woody Marks or something.
Woody Marks, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think my answer is the Colts.
Okay.
And doing it with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Just because like the hit, if he is the quarterback the whole season and you get a better season than is expected out of him, I just think is like so massive for we knew Anthony Richardson wasn't good, but whenever he was like starting, his projection was just always absurd.
Yeah.
3 tight end.
All right.
Did we spend too much for 3 tight end? Probably.
I think we could do
Anyone
Schultz
else?
if we wanted, but that might be too much. I like Keenan, obviously.
Okay, let's see if I get it in time.
There you go.
Yeah, talk about Keenan. I know you've been in on him. I haven't clicked him much. I don't think he's bad click at all, but I actually wrote about him in the Fantasy Life newsletter this morning. Where would you like to see him land? Yeah.
Landing spot I haven't like fully decided on what would be best for him. I was thinking about one earlier and I forgot. It was certainly not the Steelers. But I just think that he's not. I just don't quite understand the FUD around Keenan Allen, considering like the fall off for him. Like the fall off was like way more systemic than him as a player himself. Like for most of the season last year, he was the most effective wide receiver for the Bears, and just hasn't signed. And so I just think this is just like classic free agent FUD. We see it in every single sport. You see it in baseball, you see it in NFL. A guy doesn't sign and no one knows where he's going to go, and they just like refuse to draft him. I don't know. Could he end up in New England? I doubt it, but that would be interesting.
Yeah. Real quick, let's make this pick. I would say like a Dalton Schultz or Devin Neal.
I'm good with Schultz.
John. Yeah, Schultz is fine.
Might as well triple it. Let's triple it at this cost.
Like you said, man, just because the way he gets home and CJ Stroud.
Yep. Yeah, the location I threw out, Nez, was Commanders. I'm like, because I was thinking, last year at the end, like De'Ami Brown was like feasting over the middle, Olamide too, in those short stuff, and it's like Terry has a role on the outside. Debo's going to be kind of joker, used in a variety of ways. There's room to improve on like Zach Ertz just being the target hog over the middle. And I'm like, Jaden Daniels just slinging it to Keenan Allen, just getting chunk first downs. I was like, man, that could be hot.
And he would rise big time if that's the case. That's probably one of the best case scenarios for him, because if you're CLV hunting, because Jaden Daniels is such a premium QB, that it just like raises, obviously like how soon he gets drafted by those drafters.
And there's like nothing fun to do with Daniels backstacks either. It's just like, okay, even taking Eckler and Ertz, like no one's getting super excited. Like Keenan would steam up probably around into the like Christian Kirk range would be my guess.
What if Luke McCaffrey just takes that role?
Man, as someone who clicked some Luke McCaffrey last year, I didn't see anything out on the field that indicated that was going to happen in the future.
Nah. He's ruined the Nepo baby economy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Man, was that, and Jerry Rice's kid flopped last year. Marvin Harrison struggled. Nepo babies were down bad.
They were.
I thought it would have been a good spot with the Titans before the Lockett thing, because I think he's probably just a better version of Lockett right now. Like I thought that would have been good. We talked about that one. Earlier this year. Like just run it back with the same Caleb thesis, but with him there. I think one that would piss people off that could definitely happen and then have some sweet Week 17 correlation would be the Niners.
We're on the clock here. I was looking at like some rookies with some upside here. Ollie Gordon, Brashard Smith. It's pretty gross at running back, but I think we need a fifth.
Yeah. I like Ollie Gordon for the home run. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was going to say Elijah Mitchell, but I'm good.
I didn't get it in time.
You're good.
Yeah, this was running back got gross there. Like I was like, oh, is a Will Shipley or Jarquez Hunter hanging around? No, they were all gone.
Yeah,
Woody Marks gone. That would have been nice to just rip it in on the Texans, like we were discussing.
Yeah, I also really would have liked Justice Hill. That's who I was in my mind.
I put him in the queue.
Okay, yeah, that was the guy I was fighting mentally between him and Schultz. Like if we needed the capital of a third tight end there in the stack, because like at least we know Hill will give you some usable weeks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
and
here's
we're
the
not worried
thing.
about Keaton Mitchell. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Don't worry about that question.
No, I
That
mean,
was a
I
rhetorical.
kind of am. I mean, I think the way I feel like the Ravens backs have such defined roles, and I feel like how they use them, Keaton is probably kind of more the handcuff for Henry, where they'd use him as kind of their explosive rusher, and Justice Hill's role is just kind of solidified as that pass catching back, is just kind of how I've been interpreting it.
Yeah, and they gave
Mhm.
Justice Hill the bag last year when they liked him, when they didn't have to extend him yet, and then they chose to mid-season or whatever. They clearly like him.
Yeah.
There's
Um,
sorry, Pete, one last thing before you
yeah.
read off our team and stuff like that. I thought there was a pretty sharp one from our guy Justin in the chat earlier that was just kind of encapsulating what you guys were saying very cleanly, where it's like to win BBM, you have to run like the sun for 3 weeks. When you run the marathon, you got to run like the sun for 17. I guess that's a pretty good like bull case for your guys' argument versus mine.
Yeah.
That was basically what I was
And
trying to articulate.
Yeah, and maybe the counter is like if you hit on those and you pull away. I don't know. Maybe A-Train can let us know like how was that sweat? Where at what point did you pull into first place? Were you in first place for a long time, or when did you eclipse that? I'm curious how that went down.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our marathon-ass team. Jalen Hurts and Stroud at quarterback. JT, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, Isaac Guerrero, and Ollie Gordon at running back. Justin Jefferson, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave, Luther Burden, Christian Kirk, Romeo Doubs, Jalen Knoll, Keenan Allen at wide receiver. Mark Andrews, Dallas Goddard, and Dalton Schultz at tight end. Pretty balanced team. Maybe our running back 4 and 5 would make some people queasy, but I think we're pretty balanced and have upside in a lot of places.
Yeah, on the sucks or fucks scale, it's leaning closer to the sucks than the fucks. But I think if I could go back in time, maybe the Christian Kirk pick led us astray to do this Houston Texans thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe
you
if we
wanted
could
to do a full round earlier that I gave you is where we went astray.
That's what I mean. I set us up for failure from the jump here, Pete. I think maybe the combination of like Burden and Knoll scare me a little bit, and then the 2 dart running backs. It feels a little more BBM-y than it does marathon-y, is how I would say.
I think for me, I would have maybe liked the Aaron Jones pick back, and then at pick 100, we could have gotten a Cam Scatabo, a Jordan Mason type there, like Jordan Mason paired with Jefferson, basically play the other side of that backfield for cheaper and then get a much better wide receiver here. Could have kind of helped the overall balance of the build.
Yeah, I like this team, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like the players that like are. I think it's pretty clear like what we need to go right for this team, and I think Olave is like the biggest, which is like not a very strong bet, but I think getting Olave right and maybe like we get JT RB1 season, then we probably have a sweat on this team. I'll go ahead and say it. I actually like this team.
Dude, we got to bring up this A-Train comment. This is goated.
I had nothing else get past week 16, so I didn't even look at the marathon. I logged on after the Super Bowl to deposit and draft best ball teams. I was confused to see 308,000 in my account.
That is so goated. Oh, man. A-Train's my new dog. This guy's legit.
Dude, this description is what my weekly winners fantasy is, because I always forget to go sweat it, that you just hope one Monday you log in or Tuesday and it's like, oh, there's an extra $20,000 in your account. This dude woke up with an extra 300,000 in his account. So A-Train, like, no, you don't even know when you were in first place. Like, you could have been in first place for 300K for 4 weeks and you didn't know.
That's so healthy. That's so healthy.
Wow. That is incredible.
That is amazing.
And I can't remember, because like how weekly winners, you had to like click in to see kind of like your expected winning. Whereas like BBM and stuff, it would show you your current winnings. Like, how did Marathon display it? Was it again? I would have just thought it would display your current winnings.
You know, I think it was a little shoddy with the leaderboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had to use Pat to see.
I think
so it
I'm almost
wasn't-
positive.
It wasn't. All right.
I think this year
Yeah.
it'll be considerably better for marathon and sprint and that sort of stuff, sweats. But I think last year, as Nez alluded to, was a little less so.
Yeah, it was showing
Yeah.
0 in the preview.
Mhm.
That is
Wow.
that is insane.
Yeah.
It's also like Underdog needs to send out, when you win the pick'em and you get the cha-ching thing, and that's how you know, like you hit, like Underdog needs that. If you beat 300K, you need to hit them with the cha-ching, so they know it's in the account. Can we get a cha-ching for 100K or more wins?
I mean, dude,
So
they could send
good.
personalized push notifications. Like they were doing that when people weren't responding to Dog Bowl stuff. Like you could just like hit them, like check your email, like from the Underdog app.
The only thing that would have been better is if he noticed that he went to actually deposit $500 and then noticed his account balance was $308,500 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my god, I actually deposited 300K.
Can I have that back? Man, unreal story, A-Train.
So
Incredible.
cool.
We need more like the stories behind some of these teams because they're so good. I still feel cheated that we don't know anything about this year's BBM winner.
Yeah. He was in a couple of hockey drafts with us one day, like randomly. And I was like, dude, he must be watching or must be knowing to just randomly be in $5 puck lobbies at the same time as us. And it's happened a couple times. So I would really like to, because man, we made it a thing for a long time that the winner's circle and anybody was welcome. And I want to keep that thing going.
Yeah. And I will say this, no one is expecting you to become a content creator or a tout or whatever. You can be like our guy Fareed, just wanted to come say hi on a couple of shows and then, fade back into the background. But people would love to hear your story, your sweat, all that good stuff.
There you go. Disbanded Brotherhood says he's a lurker. He knows he's a lurker.
All right. Come out of the shadows, reach out to us, the Badge Bros. Come
Open
on. We're
invite.
nice. We're friendly. We won't pressure you for takes or anything that will make you uncomfortable. We just
Won't
want to
even
hear
ask your government name.
Yes,
That's actually true. That's actually true.
that's right. All right, fellas, you got when's your next stream kicking off?
6 minutes ago. So yeah,
Okay,
immediately
6 minutes
following
ago.
this.
Beautiful. All right. As for me, what do I got? Oh, I'm doing a guest stream tomorrow. I'm on Best Ball Guys stream.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got that scheduled. So that'll be 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow if you guys want to see me draft with Best Ball Guy. And then we'll have Lulz ship chasing on Thursday. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. Happy marathon drafting, sprint drafting, eliminator drafting, all of the various draftings. And we'll see you guys next time on Off and on the Clock. Peace.